Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti. Today we are starting a new scripture, Mysticism of Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a beautiful, wonderful scripture about the glories of Lord Krishna. Commentary is by my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So, as you know, we have recently completed the scripture Mysticism of Ramayana, which was filled with profound insights and learnings for us to advance on our spiritual journey, much in the same way, but that was about Lord Rama's glories. Mysticism of Bhagavatam is about Lord Krishna's glories, which is full of divinity and lots of teachings for us and how to enhance our spiritual path. And we cannot ever say enough about these divine sages and saints who have given us so much wisdom, scriptures, and their life's work so that we may understand what the real purpose of our human existence is. If we apply that even a little in our life, we can make tremendous spiritual progress. As we all know, human embodiment is very rare. So, let us start with the introduction from our Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayananda ji, about the introduction of Bhagavatam, mysticism of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vedic literature has its roots in the four main Vedas, which are Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atharvaveda, and Yajurveda, and which culminates in the Upanishads. Upanishads means come sit near me so I can guide you properly, take you from the darkness to the light, and destroy your wrong notions. Since the Vedas and Upanishads and their philosophy Vedanta are highly condensed and often difficult for the average person to grasp, great sages composed Puranas and Itihasas in order to allow the Vedantic wisdom to flow more freely to the masses. These scriptures, such as Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, and Ramayana, contain colorful stories and parables that illustrate how great personalities of ancient time handled the complexities of life, passed through tests and trials, and were able to discover great joy as they attained oneness with God. Once, the modern sage Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansa was commenting on the difference between the Upanishads and Srimad Bhagavatam. In so doing, he gave the simile of an Indian sweet, jalebi. Those of you who know what a jalebi is, it's a fried sweet which is full of juice and very delicious. Um, this sweet is prepared in two stages. First, the sweets are fried and then they are steeped in luscious syrup. In the same way, the study of the Upanishads presents the fried state of jnana or knowledge, while the Bhagavatam steeps this knowledge in the luscious syrup of bhakti or divine love. Srimad Bhagavatam was planned by great sage Vyasa to bring out the glory of Krishna and instill love for God in the heart of aspirants. The writings of Srimad Bhagavatam followed Vyasa's earlier composition of the Mahabharata, the magnificent scripture that contains the Gita, which is part of the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata, from which Bhagavad Gita emerged, which reflects the most sublime heights of Vedic wisdom. In the Mahabharata, the theme is Yato Dharmas Tato Jaya. Wherever there is dharma or righteousness, there is victory. Life is pictured as a mighty battle in which your soul is led to abiding victory, self-realization by Krishna or God. Having written the Mahabharata, however, Vyasa still felt unsatisfied. Sage Vyasa. So whenever we sit on for giving satsang, it is called Vyaspeeth, or the place where wisdom flows. And sage Vyasa had done so much work that that debt can never be paid. And in his honor, if we do the Guru Purnima, honoring our all the sages and saints in his honor. So Vyasji and his son was Shukadevji. So this tradition is very ancient, and sage Vyasa had also compartmentalized the immense Vedas from, and he made 4 parts out of it. Before, Vedas were one. Then he also broke the Puranas and the Itihasas and the Upanishads into separate sections, giving his goal was to give as much spiritual knowledge to as many people as possible, and to help them cross this ocean of the world process. So after composing such great works, he was still unsatisfied. He didn't feel peaceful or happy. So he asked Narada, what should I do? Imagine how much humility that must be. Instead of developing his ego, he's saying, I need to do more, and how can I find peace after doing such phenomenal work? So he said, I have written that vast and compelling scripture, yet I am not at peace. Because there was war, as you all know, in the Mahabharata, and lot of spiritual lessons to be taken out of it, but he did not derive peace. Narada responded by urging Vyasa to compose a highly devotional story of Lord Krishna. So the underlying message was that although Vyasa had done a tremendous amount of work, most of it was in the intellectual field. It was more about jnana yagya, just knowledge. But in this case, Narada is suggesting we need to also develop bhakti or devotion, like Shabri had. In Ramayana, there is a lot of devotional. As you have followed it, you have seen how many episodes there were full of devotion. Much in the same way, Lord Sage Narada guided him to come up with a devotional story of Lord Krishna. Overjoyed by the suggestion, Vyasa began to plan the glorious accounts of Krishna's life and Leelas. Leelas are called sportive exploits of the Lord. Leela means a play, an illusion, fun. And he taught that to Shuka, his son, Shukadevji Maharaj. Shuka added a touch of his own spicing and taught it to King Parikshat. This is where I was discussing last time that I have actually been to that place in Shukratal near Rishikesh, India, where this knowledge was first given by sage Shukadev to King Parikshat. From then on, it has come down through a succession of sages and divine storytellers, and brought delight and inspiration to people of all ages in all parts of the world. So Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam has taken on an immense role, where even today in India, in some places this goes on for months and months, and but generally most people these days, because of this material age and people are busy, they do it over a 7-day period. It's called Saptaha Parayan. Saptah means 1 week. And I will discuss the mystical reasoning for that in a little bit. But that's what Shukadevji did. He gave that knowledge to the King Parikshat. From then on, it has come down and inspires many people. Of the many Puranas and Itihasas, Srimad Bhagavatam and the Ramayana are the most popular throughout India. So no wonder we are also doing it in that order. First we've done the Ramayana, now we are doing the Bhagavatam. So you will be fully equipped with the entire scripture and also the mystical meaning. So it will be, if you listen with devotion, it is sure to spark a new light in your consciousness and expand your spiritual progress. In Bhagavatam, the divine self is adored in the form of Krishna, and in Ramayana as Rama. Both divinities are incarnations of Lord Vishnu, the sustaining aspect of Brahman or the divine self. Lord Rama is called Maryada Purushottam, the personification of ethical perfection, the divinity who keeps himself within certain bounds in order to present an ideal for human beings to emulate. Lord Krishna, on the other hand, is called Leela Purushottam, the personification of the sportive aspect of God, the divinity whose life is meant to express the boundless power and bliss of the Supreme Self. In Krishna's personality, that bliss of Brahman surges like the mighty waves of an ocean tossed by hurricane winds. There is no limit to what he will do. So you will see the contrast between the two scriptures. Now that you have fully been through the Ramayana, you will see how different and how enlightening Bhagavatam is in its own way. The word Krishna is derived from the Sanskrit word akarshan. Akarshan means that which draws like a magnet, attractiveness. The divine self or God is like a mighty spiritual magnet, and all souls are like little iron particles. However, the particles of iron are not instantly drawn to him because there are intervening obstacles that abide in one's heart. Due to those obstacles, souls have searched for perfect happiness through countless embodiments, yet they remain hungry and restless, longing for fulfillment. However, from the magnanimous heart of great sage Vyasa, a heart overflowing with divine love has come Srimad Bhagavatam, a powerful force for removing the spiritual obstacles that keep your soul separated from God. May we all draw inspiration from the glorious exploits of Bhagavan Krishna and move closer and closer to God. And may our soul melt in the melody of eternity. So we will start with the story of King Parikshit in tomorrow's satsang. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.